Now, more than 50 years ago, photographer Daniel Meadows captured the dying days of the last working mill in Lancashire. It would also mark the start of a lifelong friendship, because it was there that Daniel met Stanley, who ran the factory's engine room. Long after the mill closed its doors, the friendship has endured, and the photographs are going on display. Jane McCubbin reports.
In a 2 up, 2 down in Barnoldswick, Lancashire, you'll find 89-year-old Stanley.
How old's this then?
1927. Every house should have a lathe in the front room. It's a thing of beauty.
And in an unassuming gallery in London this weekend, you'll find Daniel.
This is the section where Stanley features quite a lot. He was like the high priest of steam.
50 years ago, Daniel travelled to Lancashire to photograph the last breaths of a dying trade and ended up making an unlikely friendship that would last half a century.
It was the time of the Sex Pistols, Concorde, and all these wonders of modernity, and yet I found myself stuck up there in the middle of the Pennines, and I was next door to something that looked like it had come out of Dickens.
Now the low pressure's starting to talk to us a bit now.
Daniel's camera and microphone captured the sights and sounds of Bancroft Mill, one of the UK's last steam-powered weaving sheds. And Stanley was the man behind the steam that powered 1,000 looms.
Chalk and cheese, you and Daniel.
Yeah. Well, for instance, Daniel was brought up being taught how to play croquet. The first time I ever come across croquet, I thought that it ought to be restricted to consenting adults over 40. I've never seen anything so violent in my life.
There's no point being in the north of England if you're a southerner and trying to pretend that you're anything other than a posh boy from the south, because that's what they call you whether you are or not. He and I would be sitting in the engine house chatting, and then he'd ring home and he'd say, "Vera, 1 extra for tea."
Barnoldswick was virtually a single industry town, and they came in during the night and stole everybody's living off them.
Stanley opened up his world to Daniel.
I'd never met people like this, so to me they were like prophets out of the Old Testament. You know, they were all shaking their stick at the modernity, because they all knew that their jobs were going. They knew it was the end.
But Daniel opened up a new world to Stanley. When his mill was eventually demolished, Daniel introduced him to the man who encouraged Stanley to go to university.
And your mum's reaction when she saw that degree certificate?
She burst into tears, and it's the first time I've ever seen my mother cry.
I did ask him if he came up what he would like to say to you.
I hate to think.
I just love Daniel and Georgie, his wife, and they know it because I tell them.
Oh, Stanley. Oh. Well, I love you too, Stanley.
Jane McCubbin with that report.